and no one was there to help me. And I received 2 right to sue letters from the EEO, and I was at the point where I couldn't find an attorney to take my case.
Hi, my name is Donnell Buggs. I'm the director of Bigger and Better Business of Kappa Upsilon Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Usually October is known for many things. One being Halloween. For some people, they may celebrate or observe Columbus Day, breast cancer awareness. But did you know that October is also National Book Month? And so what we're here to do today is highlight and spotlight an author. She's also a motivational speaker, and she's also a consultant for labor relations. And she's going to talk to us about her experiences, her services, and we're going to get to know her today. So today we're going to be meeting with Lyreshia Bonds. Lyreshia, welcome.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to see you again. I know it's been a long time since we've last seen each other, and I'm glad that you was able to make yourself available to meet today. So I want to start off with just talking a little bit about who you are. Let us know who you are and some of your experiences.
Okay, hi, how you doing? It's good to see you. Thank you for allowing me to share my story on your platform. I'm just a regular around the way girl, I guess. My history, my background, I was born and raised in North New Jersey. I went to Monmouth University. I obtained my criminal justice degree with a minor in information technology. And after I graduated, I worked in social services and residential treatment. Then I moved to Missouri and I worked for the Division of Youth Services there for 2.5 years, also with residential treatment. Came back and I was an investigator for Law Guardian. I was a CMO worker for 2.5, 3 years. And then I was a probation officer for 9 years. So my professional career after obtaining my degree, I was a social worker, and then I did in law enforcement for 9 years. Regular person. And I used that knowledge and experience to help me and start my own business since 2021.
Awesome. So you have a long history of just different areas that you've worked in and led up to where you are today. And you mentioned about the labor relations. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in labor relations consulting and including the types of people that are clients that you serve?
Okay, well, I started my business, Bonds Consulting, LLC, after I was illegally fired from my job. Being a probation officer, I worked there for 9 years, and I experienced various incidents of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. It was a point where it was at the end of the day, it was unacceptable treatment, and I refused to accept it. So I filed a discrimination complaint against my employer. When I filed this discrimination complaint, I was immediately retaliated against, and I was brought up on false departmental charges. So after me being brought up on false charges and me understanding how when the police pull you over for fake charges and people are arrested and you see people in prison for 30, 40 years for crimes they never committed, I was in living color seeing that this was happening to me as an employee, where the agency that I was working for were bringing me up on departmental charges that, number one, they shouldn't have brought me up on, the two, that were illegal, and they were getting away with it because they was the New Jersey Judiciary, because they were the courts. And no one was there to help me. And I received 2 right to sue letters from the EEO, and I was at the point where I couldn't find an attorney to take my case. And I was written up and suspended for using approved FMLA. And everybody know FMLA is family medical leave. If you have a medical issue or a family member with a medical issue, you could take off to work for up to a year and you won't be brought up on charges or fired because of it. So when I took off with this approved FMLA and then I was brought up on charges for using my approved time, I filed a lawsuit in federal court with no attorney. The New Jersey Judiciary filed a motion to dismiss and lost against me with no attorney. And they fired me because of my lawsuit against them. And they illegally incarcerated my mentally ill nephew. So then I was forced to try to figure out what can I do from this situation? You know, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So I started my own business because I know if I was going through this and every time I had a conversation with somebody, they were telling me similar stories that they had, this is not okay. So that's when I became the consultant to also help people navigate the system, because I was successfully able to do it myself. And I know I wanted to be for people what I needed. So I decided to start my business and do it.
Wow.
Among with other things.
Wow. So a lot of horrific things, you know, and maybe I can imagine maybe somewhat traumatizing as well, having to go through something like this. Interesting that you mentioned that. Statistics show in the Gallup poll that 72% of Black professionals experience racial discrimination in the workplace. And not just racial discrimination, but you also have nearly 1 in 10 LGBTQ people in the United States who have experienced workplace discrimination just last year. And we can go on and on and on. Elder discrimination, age, gender, so forth, religion. Tell me, according to your business, your labor relations consultant, how do you approach fostering diversity and inclusion within organizations, and how do you help clients who may be going through the same thing create inclusive and equitable work environments?
Number one, I hit them with a dose of reality. A lot of times what I've noticed with dealing with a lot of these things, a lot of people say things that they have to say, or they sugarcoat. I don't like sugarcoating. Sugarcoat getting you in trouble. I'm a realist. So I talk to people, and I've talked to a lot of people in trouble, and I tell them the first thing is you got an option. You know what they're doing to you. You know why they're doing to you. And I'm going to say that the statistics you just read about 73% is only the 73% of people who report it, because not everybody reports it. And they know that because they harass you, because they understand you have a mortgage, you have car payments, and a lot of people don't. They just leave the job and go find another one. You know, so the statistics of the 73, I'm going to say it's 95%. Mostly all Black people in the workplace. I have not met anyone who's told me that they've worked, any Black person that I've met personally, and told them and had a conversation with them about their work experience, and they said they had a meaningful experience throughout their whole entire career. They never had any issues or was discriminated. I've never met that person. So it's more, but it's not being reported. Sometimes people don't even know. One of my coworkers worked there since 1995, and she was brought up on departmental charges since 2000 just because she was Black. And she didn't even know at the time what she was going through. She just knew that every year she would get suspended. And it's honestly a money laundering scheme. So it's really, you have to really look at the real situation of what's going on and why it's happening. And a lot of the sugarcoating of it, it's, oh no, it could be this. Well, no, it could be that. I have 2 very quick questions I ask people when they contact me. Number 1, you can stand up and fight, or you could just get another job and leave. And I try to persuade people, and I try to be real. Can you fight? This fight is not going to be easy. It's not going to be simple. It's going to require a lot of energy, time. And if you don't have it, and if you can't do it, that's okay. We can help you look for another, so I give them examples of how to get out of the situation, finding other employment. Number 2, if you do plan on fighting, these are the steps you have to take. But first, I'm real with people, because if you're a single parent, you can't fight the system. Not if you have kids. Like, I had a sick child. Thank God I wasn't a single parent and I had the support, but not everybody has that. But if you do, realistically, you can't fight them. What you can do, look for other employment. Because once you file that complaint against them, it's going to be retaliation. So, I have realistic conversations. Okay, what can you do to make this situation better? Start putting stuff in writing. Document with emails, ask per our conversation, and start spelling it out if you're going to build your case for X, Y, and Z. Because when it gets to the point where you're now documented, it's been going on for a year or so. So, we have realistic conversations about what needs to happen, and we go from there.
So you shared a lot of information, and you're absolutely right. I know some people personally who felt that it was easier to just walk away from the job than to try to go through the process of fighting, what they were experiencing. What would you say some of the other reasons as to why some people may not necessarily want to go through what it takes to possibly hold these businesses accountable?
Because at the end of the day, like my job, I'm holding the New Jersey. I have two lawsuits, a federal lawsuit and a state lawsuit against the New Jersey Judiciary in federal and state court. I'm one person. This is a system. This is a system of racism that's been in place since 1619. It's so much I can do. And sometimes people know that. At the end of the day, you're only here for a short period of time and you want to enjoy that time. Who wants to spend their life fighting, constantly dealing with it? I filed my lawsuit October of 2019. It is 2023.
Wow.
It's no closure. They're saying we don't even have a case. It's not for everybody, which I understand and I totally get. At the end of the day, I'm petty. So it's like, at the end of the day, I also understood when I was born, I was 4 out of 5 kids. Okay. I used to practice my handwriting because I knew I was here for a reason. So I know I have a different assignment than everybody else. And I know that that God literally put this on me. And I keep asking him why. And we keep battling it out, keep fighting it out. And me understanding that everything happens for a reason and this is what he wanted for me. Because it was a point in time where, I know you from the church or whatever, where not that I turned my back on my religion, but I had some serious questions and some doubt, especially dealing with the white supremacy of the white Jesus and all of that, and really doubting, wait a minute, this ain't it. Not having an attorney, like where you are. I did everything I was supposed to do. I didn't have no kids before I was married. I got married, bought the house. I tried to do everything the right way. I did out of 5 kids, I'm number 4. I was the first to go to college. It took me 6 years to get a 4-year degree. I didn't graduate to college till I was 24 years old. But I was steadfast in your word where you said you would never leave me nor forsake me. Yes. Then I get the position, my dream job, working for the judge, writing reports. And I'm like, God, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I wanted to go to law school. Everybody know I wanted to go to law school. I had a sick child. I was working a good job. I had a house. I said, I don't have to go to law school. I'm happy and content with everything that I have right now. And I think it's the saying when you want to hear God laugh, you tell him God said, nah, baby, he made it so uncomfortable for me. When I tell you he made it uncomfortable for me because I'm seeing things that were not right, that were not okay. I'm seeing crimes being committed, laws being broken after I done got a criminal justice degree and y'all told me that things that can't be done. Somebody had to stand for it. And at the end of the day, I couldn't go to sleep at night. I wasn't okay with it. And some people are not. And some people have to understand they have too much on themselves. And you know what I mean? I just couldn't. Wow. I just couldn't.
So you felt the burden to take that stand, to be the voice for so many people who want to say some of the things and stand up, but didn't feel like they had the support or the wherewithal to do it.
And not even that, the time, energy, or the money. My girlfriend who was harassed, who they went after her because they thought she was a witness in my case, or she was an actual witness in my case. She was a single parent of 3 kids. Her child is autistic. She was pregnant. They were harassing her while she was pregnant at work. They could have caused some of the medical issues that she had because she was in a hospital the last 3 months of her pregnancy dealing with them. She couldn't do it. So every time I see somebody and they tell me about the stuff that they've been through, I let them know that my fight is your fight. Like I'm doing this for all of us because I know that it's not just me. It was supposed to be 7 of us who filed our lawsuit. It's 3 of us now. So in this workplace, 3 of us are filing for discrimination, retaliation, and harassment. So my fight is for the people who couldn't say anything, the people who had to find another job, who quit a job without even, you quit, you can't get unemployment. Right. That is who my fight is for.
Excellent. And you're doing great work. You're doing great work. I know that it's not easy, but you touched on it. Purpose. You're here for a reason, right? You're like the voice crying and the wolf, out in the wilderness, for people who are struggling, that's being challenged every day. You said the numbers are probably higher, and I can agree with that. I'm pretty sure that a lot of stuff goes underreported, not just from a racial perspective, but even for those who are being harassed, because of their gender and religion and different things, because they just don't want to have to face what they perceive to be the consequences as a result of standing up to these larger companies that have the resources, the attorneys, to fight that fight.
Exactly. Right? It's a lie. And again, I didn't have an attorney to take my case. I filed with no attorney. All I had was Brick City. Shout out to Brick City. All I had was my street knowledge of growing up in the inner city and my degree in criminal justice. And you telling me that these things you cannot do. And this is where they messed up at. I had $184,470 and 74 cents in student loans. Where you told me, I don't even think I said that number right, but I'm gonna say it again. So when you told me that, and this is the thing, I did everything I was supposed to do, everything you said do. Don't go have kids, do it the right way, go to school. It took me 6 years to get that degree. Then I have all this debt. I'm trying to take care of my kids. I'm sitting here doing my job, and then I'm just being harassed just because I'm a black woman.
You touched on something interesting. If I can go back a little bit, because of your experience with the law, you were able to identify certain things that were going on. Not everybody has the opportunity to actually recognize when they're being discriminated against, hence microaggressions, right? And so for people who are watching who are not sure, they know that something's not quite right, but may not necessarily can pinpoint if it's actually something racial or other forms of discrimination. What are some of the things that people can look for to identify whether or not they're being discriminated against?
Okay, this was going to be the title of my second book, but I didn't like the fact that the devil was in it. The devil is in the details. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, and a lot of time black people don't like to say it's race. Why not? If it ain't anything else. If you see 15 people, or you don't see the Caucasian people in the office being treated a certain way, but you are, it's race. If you see the double standard, like you arrive to work late, and one time in a year, it's in your performance evaluation. Susie arrived to work late every day. They don't say nothing to her about it. Or being held to a separate standard. Just the common courtesy and respect. But the devil is in the details. The microaggression is the picking. Like, okay, you writing a report. It was the third. I was a probation officer, and at that job, I wrote reports for the judge. So in the state of New Jersey, before you're sentenced, a report is done on you as a person, who you are as a person besides the charges. And I conducted the investigation. I wrote the report for the judge, and I would be so scrutinized and so picked apart where they would look at my report where if you had the co-defendant and you were Caucasian, you would have to write 3 sentences on the circumstances of the offense. Well, I would have to write 2 pages about the circumstances. So my report was not only longer, it took me a longer period of time. And then you kept coming and having me rewrite and edit. So this one report is 5 edits, but the Caucasian guy is doing a report and he's doing 1 edit. So it's just like, and then I'm never late for work. I had a sick child. So if I'm out of work, if you have a child that's sick, it's not like her sickness is on a schedule. If I'm out, I'm out. The work had to be assigned to somebody else. This particular time in 2017, I reported, she's now the criminal division manager in Middlesex County. Right now, as we speak, I reported her for being racist, which I believe she was, and allegedly as filed in my lawsuit, I said she was racist. She brought me up on charges for now being out for FMLA and having those cases assigned to somebody else. So I know you couldn't do that. It's FMLA. It's a law in place, federal and state. You can't do this. They did it anyway because it's a black woman. They thought they were going to get away with it. Well, what you going to do? In my hearing, the attorney for the HR said, sue us. That was their response for me holding them accountable for sue us. So I sued them.
Wow. So they dared you.
Because they were blatantly breaking the law. Like Ray Charles could see what was going on here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You mentioned about writing a second book. Let's talk about the first book, Allegedly.
Yes.
My Story of Resilience. Yes. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, the book, I wrote the book for a number of reasons, but one, I was very angry after this happened to me, and me and my therapist really had to explain to me that I couldn't unalive them. Like I had a lot of anger and a lot of frustrations. I don't want people to thinking that it's glamorous and I'm living no, the anger. My nephew is currently illegally incarcerated in a New Jersey state prison because I filed a lawsuit against them. And to say that I'm angry is an understatement. I have a federal right to file a lawsuit. I have a state right to file a lawsuit. As a matter of fact, you're the courts. You're responsible for making every agency in the state of New Jersey not discriminate or treat their employees the way you're treating me. So I had a serious issue with that. So with me, what can I do with this anger? Because it's pointless at this point. What can you do with it? You mad? Okay. Somebody peed on you. You peed on me, tell me it's right. What can you do about that? So it was at a point where I had to figure out, what can I do about this anger? And my book was my number one was my freedom of speech. Number two was my freedom of press. Number three, it was my boycott against what happened to me. In the state of New Jersey, what I realized about the whole discrimination lawsuit, because it's several people filed a discrimination lawsuit. The police chief in Trenton filed a discrimination lawsuit in July of 2022. It was a sheriff officer at my job who filed a lawsuit because he was called the N-word by his superiors. They settled the case and it hit the paper. Once it hit the paper, it says, after he got his money, the documents were sealed. So I had an issue. Hold on, wait a minute, what? So after y'all called him an N-word, harassed him at work, y'all sealed the documents. So now the average person in the city don't know or can't know what this place did to this. I had an issue with that. What is the solution to the problem? Because we can talk about the problems till the cows come home. Black people are discriminated in the workplace. Like you say, 70-something%. What is the solution? The solution is having a blueprint on what was actually done to me and making sure that I had written down how I was treated in the workplace and why. My book is how I was treated in the workplace and why I believe I was treated that way. And also I talk about my fight for me to come from where I came from. You know, because not that, okay, you from Newark and you made it. I'm from the worst part of Newark. I've survived so much in my childhood that, again, I had this fight. Like I survived. My father died when I was 16. He died of AIDS. His three brothers died, 93, 94, 95. He was the last one in 96. So I seen three of my uncles and my father all die of AIDS every year from 13 to 16. Wow. Back to back to back to back to back. The trauma of my childhood. My book is light of everything that I've been through. It's so light. It could have been a lot worse. But out of respect for my family and disclosing all of the family secrets, I just survived so much. Then I get here, Father God, because you told me you got to go to school, you got to get education so you can live this American dream. And I did all this. Now I'm here and it's a nightmare. I had to think of a way where I can hold those accountable for what they did to me. And you're not telling me that you abused me. And I always told myself as a kid, because I saw abuse, you know, it was a lot of abusive relationships. I would never be abused when I get old. I can never be in a relationship with somebody put their hands on me. But then I was in this workplace for 9 years and I was being abused. And my employer would hate the fact that I would write emails and tell them that I was being abused in the workplace, because that's what I was calling a spade a spade. Oh, they was hot. You're abusing me and it's not okay. Now you're telling me I filed a lawsuit, I'm gonna have my day in court, now you're gonna get away with it? No, sir. So my book is my fight of who I am as a person, what happened to me in the workplace, why I believe it happened to me, because it's specific reasons why it happened to me, and what I think possible solutions are. So that's what I wrote the book for.
Can you share maybe one or two solutions to the problem?
Number one, calling a spade a spade. A lot of times people want to quiet on this, is it a race car? But what if we didn't just like her as a person? Okay, cool. You could say you just didn't like me as a person, but what about the two other? You want to individualize and say, one black person, I was a problem employee, I was actually incompetent, I didn't do my job. The year I was written up for being incompetent, I did 202 cases. According to my performance evaluation, I'm supposed to do 140 to 160. So in 2017, I did 202 out of 13 probation officers. I was top 4. I was tied with somebody else. So where's the incompetence? Where's the incompetence? So we have to call things what they are. I'm calling what happened to me. I'm saying what it is. And a lot of times that's just people even admitting that is an issue. Another solution is we have to really take a re-exam of the criminal justice system. And that's what a lot of times people don't want to do. When you look at a police officer gets there, when they do their performance evaluation, it looks at how many felony arrests they have. Judges, how many cases have you disposed of this year? Prosecutors, how many people you threw in jail? The 13th Amendment said, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for a crime.
That's correct.
So once you're convicted of a crime, you are a slave. So we need to start saying, again, a lot of it's psychological warfare. We need to start saying the police have, instead of 300 felony arrests, they had 300 slaves. Because that's what it is. The judge sentenced 1,000 people to slavery. But you can't say that. You know, we got to sugarcoat it. We got to convicts, or we got to be tough on crime. We're making people criminals. That's why you have the prison system filled with people 30, 40, 20 years in prison for crimes they didn't commit. Because it doesn't matter if the person did the crime or not. You mattered that you just wanted a person convicted, because now that person is a slave. And now you can legally violate their rights. You could tell a person where they can and cannot live, where they can and cannot work. You could take away a lot of people's rights. And there's a lot of people who look like me and you who are going through this system where the United States government, it's making capital off of humans. And we have to really say, we want to reform this. I don't want to reform criminal justice system. I want to abolish, because they tell the kids, in school, the slavery was abolished. No, it wasn't. It just transformed what made you a slave. Instead of quote unquote a regular person, you had to be convicted of a crime. That's why immediately after 1865, you had vagrancy laws. And you automatically a slave again once, quote unquote, you were homeless. Slavery just ended. Where was I going to live? And that's even with the Jim Crow separate but equal. Everything black, they started criminalizing it. So we really have to look at this quote unquote system. It's the biggest money laundering scheme there is.
Good point. You touched on a number of things that are pretty much topics that's for another interview, right? Probably several other interviews, but you hit on some great points. As a Black author with experience in this field, how do you see your work fitting into the broader movements for social justice and racial equity? And what do you hope to achieve through your writing in this context?
I honestly feel like I carved a new way out, because I don't want to say it's never been done before, but it hasn't. Literally while my case was pending, I wrote a book about it. A lot of times you see a lot of cases where books are done after the fact. But because I did mine while mine was pending, I actually saved the legitimacy of my argument in my book. So that is something that's never been done before. And you have a lot of times where a lot of civil cases are drawn out for years. The longest one was Fred Hampton's civil case was 12 years. Wow. And what happens is, as a society, we have to understand how white supremacy works. So I understood that once they fired me, I didn't have any income coming in. I had 2 kids. They were going to try to bury me. But they didn't know I was a seed. This is wherever my faith come in. Like, I have 2 kids, a kid with a medical issue that I have to take off of work for. Now I'm fired from my job. Immediately after I was fired, I went to comedy school. I'm a comedian, Manhattan School of Comedy. I started my business as a motivational speaker and an author. And I just said, you will not bury me. It will not happen. So I gave myself literally a path for employment after being fired from my job. I created it for myself. And in addition to that, holding the story of what happened to me. Because once the case is done, I have 2 cases. They're going to seal the documents.
Right.
You can't seal a book. You could seal as many documents as you want, but you can't seal a book. So that is something that I have never seen it before. I've been looking who has wrote a book while the case was pending. I also did 2 documentaries on it. Because I understand, okay, you're trying to silence me and you're also trying to bleed me dry and make me poor. I refuse. I have 2 kids that I have to provide for.
Absolutely. Phenomenal things. Last question. What advice, Lyreshia, would you give to aspiring authors or advocates who want to address work discrimination issues through your writing and make a positive impact in the field? Right.
So many people out there who have stories, and a lot of times I'm talking to write about it. That can be your therapy, even if you don't publish it. But there's a lot of people, there's a lot of stories out there, and write about it. I'm working on my 2nd book. I'm working on a couple of a parenting book. Write about it. your story, what happened to me, it happens to a lot of us. Write about it. Try to be the change. I've always said, be the change that you want to see. It's no way to do that if we're not writing about it. And I couldn't read in 8th grade. I graduated the bottom of my high school class. I graduated the bottom 25% of my high school class. It took me 6 years to get a 4-year degree. I had a learning disability. And when I got to my 4-year degree, I had an academic scholarship. Academic scholarship. Somebody who graduated the bottom 25%. Wow. And I just always believed in myself. And once I figured out, oh, wait a minute, criminal justice, I love that. But me not understanding it was the system making a capital of a person, I was determined to be one of those people who use their criminal justice degree, or you went to school for something, but they don't work in that field. I wanted to work in my field. So I'm going to fight crime and I'm going to fight for justice with my degree. I'm just going to have to fight it against the system. But definitely, if you have an idea for a book, write about it, do it. Be like Nike, just do it. And just believe in yourself. Nobody else has to believe in your story. It's not a competition. It's a personal conversation. Like your relationship with God is not for the public. It's for you. And if it doesn't sell, it's okay. But for you to get your story out, definitely write about it. Definitely.
Great advice. Great words of wisdom. Perfect example. Someone who, where we say you can't curse what God has blessed.
Listen.
Obviously, you've been blessed on so many different levels, and you're being a blessing to so many people just by writing this book. And I'm sure the one that's coming out shortly or soon will also be a blessing as well. So if you have not had a chance to purchase the book, this is the book here, allegedly, My Story of Resilience. Please purchase a copy. And how, for those who are watching this video, this interview, how can they get a copy of this book?
Okay. My book will be available for sale in top of the year in 2024. You can go to my website to find out about any information you want on me. My website is literally Lyreshia Speaks. It's LYRESHIASPEAKS.com. Lyreshia Speaks would be able to find my speaking engagements, my motivational speaker. I go to the colleges and universities, churches, and, telling my story of resilience, and also advocating for social justice. It's a new employment law that I'm advocating for. And I'm also in the process of trying to start a new foundation with somebody. A lot of things coming in the 2020 top of the year. So my website is everything. Also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I got 2,050 followers on that.
Very nice.
Lyreshia Speaks everything.
Awesome. I think they call it X now, right? For Twitter, yeah. I think they changed the name to X. But once again, if they want to find you, they can find you on all social media outlets, including your website. Reach out. If you're going through any type of discriminatory issues on your job, whether it be racial, sex discrimination, gender, age, religion, any factors that you can think of, please reach out to Lyreshia. Her website, get consultation, and use her wisdom and her experiences to be a blessing to you. You'll also be able to find this interview on the Kappa Epsilon Sigma website, which is pbskus.net. Again, that's pbskus.net. Or you can also find it on our BBB YouTube channel at KUSBBB 1914. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lyreshia.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for everything that you've shared, everything that you're doing. Continue to fight the good fight, because I'm pretty sure that, something wonderful is going to come out of it. You're a phenomenal person. I appreciate you. And I know so many other people appreciate you as well and what you're doing. So thank you so much. God bless.